Hi, so I wanted to do a quick video. I'm meant to be packing for Glastonbury. Well, actually meant to have packed for going away to Glastonbury right now, and I haven't, and I'm being ridiculous, and I'm now recording this video because there's so much I want to say, and I have to condense it into like the smallest video ever. But I'm gonna do my best. So much has gone on for me in the last few days, and a lot of it's been connected to like soul alignment, stripping away, and like really finding my purpose. So I feel like I need to give a little bit of my background. Actually, authenticity is really the word. I feel like I need to give a little bit of info about my background so that this makes sense. So I worked as a fashion photographer for the past for like 10 years, and I loved creating stuff. So I always felt like I was kind of on passion because I was creating artwork that I was really proud of, and I was like putting together photo shoots, and it was all really cool and exciting. But I never actually enjoyed it. Like, I never actually enjoyed going on photo shoots. I always felt tired and drained, and dealing with clients was always such a headache, and everybody was always like trying to get more from me, like for nothing, and everybody was so demanding, and then, you know, they pick me for my style and then want me to like do it some other way. And I felt I felt like I was on purpose at the time, else I never would have done it. But it was starting to become clear to me for quite a while that I wasn't. But I didn't really know what else to do, and I did like yoga teacher training, and I did all kinds of things, but none of them alone felt like the draw away. And then 2 years ago, I started painting, and I loved it. And as soon as I started painting, it was such an expressive energy for me. Obviously, I was better at photography because I'd done it for a long time, you know, although something had always like stopped me from really hitting like the big time with photography. Like, there was always a block from like really going all the way, if that makes sense. And I thought it was like my own wounds, but I actually just don't feel like I was living in my like true soul alignment. So I yeah, like I started painting like 2 years ago, and instantly I was like, this feels amazing. Like, it feels really pure. It feels like I'm creating from my soul, and I'm like actually like giving my soul, like, you know, like this is a pure creation. And it was to do with me being in charge of the whole process. But I didn't connect all these dots till really recently. But I anyway like was dipping in and out. But I never really had like the full trust that, even though every time I painted or did something like from my what I felt was my soul's alignment, like paths would open up, doorways would open up, and things would really start to move. I never fully trusted that I could do it without dipping back into the old lives and the old ways of how I thought it was, like how I was used to making money, right? Which was through photography. Even though I was never particularly abundant, because every time I'd have some amazing opportunity or big thing, I'd always then lose loads of money, or, you know, like I never really got to a point where I felt like really abundant, but it still was like my method and means of survival and what I was used to for surviving as well. So last week when I recorded some videos, and I felt amazing, like, but I'd just been painting all week, and I actually sold like a painting straight away, and I'd been feeling like on fire with my energy. And I then got some job offers come in, and I did them, and I realized it's like a lot of connecting the dots for me this week. Like, I realized how drained they left me feeling, and how some of the visuals of the future and the feelings of the future that I got that were amazing were not there anymore. Like, they changed. And I realized that like who I'm connected to, the life I'm living with them, like changes based on like me really living my authentic soul truth. Like, I get different visuals, I can imagine different futures, right? And so I feel like I'm getting the contrast shown to me so clearly for me to just make that leap. And it's interesting because the last connection that I had, right, when it ended, it was because I hate sharing really personal stuff about other people on these things, but, you know, no names. So it ended because like he basically went back to an unhealthy old connection and had some issues with like feeling stable, right, and kind of confused stability and love and all these kind of things. And I was trying to do mirror work at the time, and I was like, well, how is this, like, what's the mirror here? Like, I don't get it. Like, and I knew I didn't feel rejected, because I normally feel rejected, and there were elements of rejection, but I didn't feel like inferior. I didn't feel like I'd not been chosen. For like, the frustrating trigger actually was the going back, was the hanging on to stuff for like stability and safety, rather than following like what felt like an amazing soul journey. That was my trigger. Whether I was right or wrong on that doesn't really matter, because that's what I felt intuitively. It was like that this was like going back to something like unhealthy and not truly fulfilling, because it was like stable, and it offered an ability, like it stopped from like the potential of like everything falling apart, right? And I was like, I don't get this. Like, I don't do that in my life. Like, I only date people I feel massive connection to. I never date people that I don't like, feel like massive like, you know, feeling that they could be my twin flame, for a like long time, you know, like years. And I was like, I don't understand this reflection. And then I woke up and it literally hit me like a bolt, because, well, so the last couple of days of processing all piled up, and I like put two and two together, and I just fully understood everything. Like, I understood that I was doing this in my own life. Like, there's always the mirror, right, when you really come back to it. And I realized that actually I was living this in my life. What was happening was I was really understanding what my true soul purpose is. I know it's the pain, it's to do art for my soul. Actually, it doesn't even matter what I'm doing. Like, I can be doing workshops or tech blogging, I can do anything, but I know that I'm happy and I feel fulfilled when I'm creating stuff. I'm in control of the creative process, and people are buying it as it is, as it comes, or they're watching it. Or, do you know, doing these, I want to do workshops. I'm really drawn to like doing spiritual and art mixed workshops, and even doing these videos. Like, all these things are like a part of my creation that I'm just putting out there, and people like them or they don't like them, and that feels so healthy. And it feels, and I'm not saying this is the same for everybody, like we all have different soul paths, but for me, that was the key. And I wasn't trusting that I could live off these authentic soul things, and that I still needed to cling on to the old. Because yeah, I had a week where I started doing everything that was only in alignment with myself, and I felt amazing. And I actually like let go of like attachments to anything from the past. And I had totally new visions of futures that were opening out, and they were amazing. And I feel like, and I like, the thing I painted I sold right away, you know, like there was the confirmation that what you're doing is right, and you're like, mate, you can live off this, you can live off your highest alignment. Like, but then some jobs came in that were connected to my older life, and I took them because I'm like, well, I don't know when I'm going to next make some money. I really need to make some money. Like, you know, I'm going to have to take them because, you know, and I can just dip my toe in and I can do them, and then I can go back to the other stuff. But by doing them, I realized how drained it left me, like how drained, and that I can't just flip back into the other, because now I have to go through this whole process of getting my energy back to the place where I can create from that place, like where I can do those things that are in alignment. And like, it's just taken me right back into the world, like getting triggered by things, like engaging in things. And I realize it's coming because I'm not fully fulfilled. Whereas when I was doing like stuff that was so in alignment with me, I didn't even like want to engage in those things. And I didn't, and yeah, so I feel like for me, there's just been this massive lesson in like trusting that what is in alignment with my soul can also like keep me afloat financially and abundantly. And there is abundance with what, like, you know, what our soul's purpose is. And I think sometimes it takes a while to work that out, because I still thought that when I was doing my creative stuff that I was living my soul's purpose for a long time. But now like it's like this stripping back to like really like the core. And that's what I feel is happening for me at the moment. And that when I'm at that place, everything feels like it's there, like union is here, like it feel like and I can feel it coming. And then when I get out of that place and I'm tested and I take the test and I go back to the fucking old, like I realize, oh, actually, you know, this isn't fulfilling. This isn't the quick money that I thought it was going to be. It's actually very draining. And it's like this, I can't stay in that old energy anymore. Like, whereas before I could hang out in it for a bit, I feel like I just can't. Like, and I started to have this like feeling of like a split and the energy of a split. Now, I know that's not really true because we can move anytime we want to, but this is just how I visualized it, right? It was like the earth was split and I was being given the choice, like, do you want to go this way or do you want to go this way? Like, and this way has a totally different life to this way, right? And I felt like I was being given those options and I had to like make a choice. I think it was like very symbolic, but it is like, that is how I'm feeling. It's like, I don't feel like I can anymore like dip my toe in this life and organize my little workshops and paint, and then on this hand be like, but I'm still gonna dip in my toe when this comes along and I can earn some money from it quickly. It's like that is not an option anymore. And yeah, really just seeing the mirror in my last connection as well, like it really just like that realization took me to that next realization, because I hadn't seen it. I hadn't seen where I was doing the same as him and I was like staying in the old energy for like dipping my toe in, like very much like what he was doing, of like coming backwards and forwards, like of like, oh my god, like I don't want to leave this behind, but then oh my god, this energy is like really good over here. And that was like ripping me apart, because it was like back, forward, back, forward, back, forward. And now I'm kind of seeing how he was, because every connection just shows us ourselves. And I'm now seeing that reflection of like, oh my god, but I was doing that too, like not with partners, but with like my life path. Like I was dipping in, dipping out, dipping in, dipping out, like, oh yeah, this feels really good, I'm gonna stay here. Like, oh, but like this is a photography job, come in, you know, and it's like money and that's great, like I've got some money, like I need the money. So yeah, like long story short, I feel like I'm being really, 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 really called right now not to do this again. Like that it's not fulfilling, that it's not worth the money because of how out of alignment it makes me. Like that, I mean, you know, karmic cycles, I don't even believe in karma, but you know, these cycles are not just romantic, like they're just energy cycles. Like holding on to like an old partner for stability is just the same as holding on to an old job or like an old way of thinking or anything like this. And I feel like I'm just being called to say, hey, like stop, you know, like you've got to just jump in and trust. And I put this comment on Facebook, and then this guy that's bought some of my artwork messaged me, and we were chatting all morning, and it was really nice. And he was basically telling me how, you know, he'd love to support me and buy my work, and you know, because he really like can feel that it's what I'm meant to be doing. And I just thought, wow, I've manifested that already. Like, you know, as extra confirmation that my journey will be provided for. I also feel very guided for like spiritual guidance for people, like workshops combining art and spirituality. I love making these videos too, and I just, it's so easy. Like I just feel like there's this whole life where I can be like free. Completely free. So I never really was with photography. I didn't have a job to go to, so I felt free, but I was always tied into a client or a place, or and yeah, I really feel like this is the call. This is like the judgment call of like, come on now, time to like follow your bliss, follow your soul, follow your heart. And I think it's really tied to my connections that I'm experiencing too, because that's a big problem actually. And I've only just realized this connection. Like I've only just made the link. Like a lot of the people I've had really strong connections with, I've thought my Twinflame and stuff, like they'd always felt a massive connection to me, and they'd be like, oh my God, like they'd want to marry me and blah, 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 blah. And then they'd go for some like real safe option, or like go back to a safe option, or I'd meet them when they had one and they would like and ah about leaving it. And you know, and I didn't really well, I didn't see it because I just had rejection wounds at the time, so I didn't even see there was that going on. And then in hindsight, I saw that going on, and then I'm like, but I don't get this reflection in my own life. Like, I don't see why I'm doing this, because I'm always picking my strongest connection. But when I take it outside of the romantic thing and I actually look at, but I mean, even with romantic, like when I look back, there's been connections that, when I'm truly honest with myself, they were not in full alignment. Like, there'd always be compromise, like, to my ultimate spiritual growth, right, and my joy. Like, there'd always be, you know, like, that I had a massive connection to them, like massive, but maybe like our souls were not like fully connected, if that makes sense. Like, our life purposes were not, and there was always that level of like compromise. But definitely in the work front, like, it's just like, it really, really hit me. So that's what this time for me is all about, and this video is all about. Wow, my video, the time is 13:33 and this video just hit 15:55. That is a bit of a like number sign. So yeah, like, for me, this period, and I'm sure this splitting isn't just me, like, I felt like the split, like, I felt it was more than me. And I feel like it's that real judgment call of like, do you realize how, like, you're just not going to be able to stay in that old energy anymore, even dipping your toe into it, because the contrast, now you've experienced this, is going to be felt instantly. And yeah, I'm not doing it anymore. I make this vow here and there on this video that I'm going to follow my bliss at all times. I'm not going to go back for money. Like, however dark it gets, I'm going to trust that the path is there for me, because it opens up every time I start. And I get cold feet and I go back. So yeah, this is today's video. And I mean, that represents like how many of us think that this happens with the person we're connecting to, like our twin flame or whatever connection we've got, like, that we feel like they jump in and then they get cold feet and they back off because they fear that intensity of just taking the chance. And then I think, like, you know, maybe some others of you can resonate with my journey and realize that, like, yeah, maybe I'm not jumping in with 2 feet because I'm like waiting for XYZ. Like, I'm waiting to be secure before I take the chance, or I'm waiting for this before I take the chance, or I'm waiting to build it slowly, or I'm waiting till I'm in union and then we can do this together, you know. Like, I think sometimes, like, it just calls for, like, if you want to see them be brave with you, like, you have to take that jump first, right? So that's today's video. After 17:46 minutes, I really hope this saves.